Good evening. Welcome to Thursday night. And it's March 17th. March 17th. Happy St. Patty's Day, everybody.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, folks.
March 17th, 2022. I have to apologize. Ben was waiting for me. That's why we're a minute late.
He was busy dropping stuff.
And on that note, my partner, Ben. Hello,
That's
Ben.
me. What's up? What's going on, folks? Welcome back to Thursday. Guitar Town Hall, talking whatever we talk about, gigs and gear. No, I don't know what I can never remember what it is. It's simple, it's straightforward, and I can never remember it.
Funny thing is, I forgot to mention that this is Guitar Town Hall with David NESDALL.
It
and
is.
Ben Coombs. Well, I should say
both of us.
Ben Coombs. That way.
Yeah.
That way.
Awesome. Yeah, we already got people trickling in. I get it. Find a seat and then we'll say hello. It's a two-way deal. If you are nice enough to say hello to us, we'll say hello back. That's the way it works. Of course, any topics that you folks want to talk about, drop her down in the chat and we can definitely talk about it. We both have some new gear to show off.
Yeah.
That we picked up recently. Dave teased a bit last week with one. I'm like, hey, next week we got to talk about that. And if you remembered that last week and you're back, perfect, because I just remembered saying that as I was thinking it. So, Flow of Consciousness night, apparently. So, let's get to everybody in the chat, Dave. Or otherwise, I'm just going to ramble for 90 minutes.
Go ahead.
And you'll just go, uh-huh.
You want me to say hello or you want to say hello?
Up to you, Dave. Your show.
I'll say hello tonight. Brother Sign Guy, Joe Hervey 84, Bill Baloney, Randy Crooks. Hello, my friend. Matthew Stewart, Terry 3Gs. No, I won't drop a guitar tonight, but I just dropped my phone. Charlie S. Guitar Man 45, Thomas Santiago, Gear Junkie 35, House of Twang, Mike is himself. Let's see. Who else is here? Well,
did you say hey to Tim Thomas?
No, I guess I didn't. Hello, Tim Thomas. Ben Coombs, as he would say, I don't know who that guy is.
I have no clue either.
And we'll say hello to more people as everyone shows up.
Exactly.
Terry 3Gs, our excellent moderator, is here.
Mm-hmm. Mike is himself, first question of the night, and I like it because it segues from last week into this week. Got a Godo Floyd question. How do they compare to Shaler or original Floyds, Dave?
Well, I know that there are people that absolutely love the Godo Floyd, that think they are absolutely the best tremolo that it's made. I think it's a top-of-the-line tremolo. I don't know that it's the best. But it is up there. It's a really good one. What I do like about that is the fine tuners they have a long stem, so you can fine tune for a longer time. You can use the fine tuners before they bottom out a lot longer than on a regular Floyd.
Nice.
But as far as stability, I think they're as good as any original Floyd Rose or Schaller Floyd that you can find. The only thing that stops me from putting them on, say, a striped Kramer guitar is that it just doesn't look right. But as far as the way it works, good as any other top of the line Floyd you can come up with. And I would I would probably put one of those on just any regular super strat build. I think they're great.
Sure. And I will agree, because if I need information on that, I would usually ask Dave anyway. I'm like, Dave, I'm doing this. What do I? And he'd say, get this. All right. What's up, ADHD Sharp, my friend? Great to see you.
Oh, very cool. Joe Hervey 84 asks a good question. He says, "Are you guys going to bring on any other YouTube channels as a guest?"
Well, speaking of which, Dave,
Yeah.
I've got breaking news. I tried to get a fellow YouTuber on tonight, but apparently he had something better to do than bother to join us tonight. Charles 75N, and I say that, Dave, all smiles, because he says, I'd love to, but I'm busy, and feel free to throw me under the bus if needed. So I'm tossing, and Dave's driving, and we know when Dave drives, people get run over.
So yes, I know, especially if they're black or female. It just happens.
That does not count.
I know it doesn't sound politically correct, but I hit Larry.
Numbers don't lie.
I hit Larry Mitchell with my car, and he happens to be black. And I hit my wife before she was my wife, and she happens to be female. So that's why I say that. That's the only reason why I say that. Please don't take that out of context. But it's the truth.
And by the way, Dave, speaking of Bent Tom, there he is.
Bent Tom, how are you? We have been praying and praying and praying for your wellness, and I'm so happy to see you. Even if you're not really feeling 100%, it is great to see your name in the chat, and we can't wait to have you on again as a guest when you're feeling up to it.
Me too, buddy. Good to see you, brother Tom.
But for me to finish with Joe Hervey, I don't know if he mentions any YouTube guy, or I think I think the question was more anyone else that has a show. Are we going to have like any other YouTubers that do shows on as a guest? I'm not against it.
Well, we do Larry Mitchell. He does a YouTube show.
He's got his own shows. We're trying to get my buddy Vince Janella, who has a YouTube show. I'm not against having anyone that has content to talk about. Does that mean I'm going to have another YouTube shows guy on every week? Probably not. But
you like to mix it up. Dave actually calls guests that you don't see around the YouTubes. I'll say as much. Like the amount of times I hear off air, well, I've never tried anything like this before, and then we go live, which is much like I've done that myself with various guests. But Dave's pulling in like a whole different area of people like that I just don't see anywhere. And I can say that like that, and that's going back, Dave, since you started doing anything on this channel, period. Like, you've introduced me to a lot of people that I've never even heard of prior to going live. And then you brought in people that I have heard of, but I hadn't seen anywhere else prior to going live.
Yeah, and I have some guests coming back. I've got I have some things in the works. I know I mentioned maybe Brad Gillis would come on. They're still on the road. And, when bands are on the road, you can't get them to do anything other than being on the road. So anything that has to do with Night Ranger or Brad Gillis is going to have to wait till they're home. He hasn't even, I texted him a couple times and he said, David, when I'm on the road, I don't really look at my phone. So I haven't gotten any answers. So I have to wait till they come off the road before we can do anything like that. And a lot of major artists and celebrities, they're all either on the road now or going on the road. So now's a good time for that style of guest. But we will have some cool guests that you guys and girls will enjoy.
And I think, and I remember saying it last year, and it was true of last year, and again this year, more and more people are ramping up this year as opposed to last year, because more and more things are opening up to the point where we can saturate the market again. Not just we're gonna, you know, counties, whatever, are gonna just do one show a month or something. Now it's weekly or nightly or whatever.
Yeah.
So, which is good.
Randy Crook says, have you played any Schecter Diamond Series Apocalypse Pete Townsend guitars? When I worked at Guitar Center, and I worked there for almost 10 years, I've played my share of Schecter guitars, not playing them, but, you know, setting them up, tuning them up, putting them on stands, because Guitar Center is a major Schecter dealer. And some of them are very good. Some of them are not so good. My favorite Schecters happens to be a Pete Townsend model, but from like 1981. Remember when the Who did their 1982 farewell tour,
Right.
and Pete Townsend was playing the Schecter Tellys. He played an all black one and then an all gold one, and then he had a blue one with a white pickguard. All of those Schecter Pete Townsend model Telecasters, those were the best Telecasters that I had ever played, other than original 50s and early 60s Telecasters. At the time, those were the best ones I've ever played, and I love those. And if you can ever find one of them, they're getting expensive now, because I mean 81 and 82 is vintage. They, at that point, they still had the Fender style headstock. They're great guitars.
And I want to say hello to Dan of New Jersey, Vinny 5150, and Octopus Ears. Nice.
Hey, Vinny, how are you? He says, Night Ranger, Don't Tell Me You Love Me is my favorite song. It's probably the first song that I heard by Night Ranger when I was a kid. Mine too. It's probably the first Night Ranger song that I saw on MTV for the first time.
Not me.
Maybe that, or
I'm a few years younger.
Maybe You Could Still Rock in America. Maybe that one.
I'm trying to think. What was the first Night Ranger song? I remember the video, but it was a couple albums later, I would say.
Sister Christian, maybe?
No, it was after that.
The Secret of My Success?
No. Maybe. No, it was right before that. I was going to say there was horns. Did they do a song that had some horns in it?
They may have. I don't know.
Because ironically, in the video, because they needed horn players for the video, they used Tommy Lee was one of the horn players.
How cool.
I remember that. Hey, Polly Walnuts.
I love that name. Polly Walnuts. You got to automatically be afraid of that guy.
Well, Dave, it sounds like, again, one of the guests that you randomly get on the channel. Hey, I'm getting Polly Walnuts on this. Of course you are, Dave. I've known him for 30 years. Of course you have, Dave. You know.
NM156 says, don't tell me you love me.
What's up? I'm just going to get tongue-tied. NM156. I'll try. There's Janice.
Yeah, you know what they say when he's a good guy, he's a good fella. Yeah, I'm a good fella. Then you should definitely be afraid.
Yeah. So, new gear, Dave.
Well,
I'll let you go first because you have multiple things to talk about.
I have a couple of things. I've been kind of like enamored with the Klon pedal again. No, I did not buy an original Klon because
it's cyclical, Dave.
Who has $5,000 to spend on a Klon, or $8,000, or whatever the cost is?
I was going to say, 5 of you have a friend or family member selling it.
I owned one for a while, a real Klon, a silver one, and they're great. But I do believe, and there are two different camps at this. Some people believe that the gold one with the horsey sounds different than the silver one. Some people say they sound exactly the same. I think that they sound different. Now, that being said, I think this pedal sounds exactly like the gold Klon with the horsey on it. Now, there is a YouTube video and let me tell you who it's by. Let me at least see if I can find the link here. Hang on a second, guys, and I'll let you guys. You know what? I think I deleted it. Hang on, Dennis. Okay, so it's the J Rocket Archer icon and gold centaur comparison. Um, and it is, let me get the YouTube out for it without any noise here.
What's up, Fruitcake Tony?
It's Pro Guitar Shops. Look at the Pro Guitar Shops video for the comparison of the Archer, and this is the gold one. It's called the Icon, and a gold Klon. Now they did two comparisons. They did a comparison of them clean with the overdrive off and switching back and forth, and they sound literally exactly the same. The tone, everything sounds exactly the same. Then they did a comparison of the two with overdrive on, and they sound exactly the same. And the only difference, and it's so minute that it doesn't matter to me, is the clipping of the distortion is a little different. The Archer Icon, the clipping is a little softer, tiny, whereas the original Klon is a little more hard edged, not more distortion.
No.
They're exactly the same amount, and the tone of the distortion is exactly the same, but the actual clipping is on the stage. When you're listening to a band, you'll never hear it, but in this video, if you listen, that's the only difference.
Sure.
And
hey, there's Charles 75N popping in for a second. And they did throw you under the bus, Charles, and I'm jealous.
And this is $125, whereas a Klon is $8,000 or whatever it is.
So, apparently $9,500 to $10,000 I'm seeing in the chat. And I have the knockoff of Dave's knockoff, the Mosky Golden Horse, which I found is the best of these style, like the clones of the clones. I was shocked at how, I was like, wow, that's a lot of nice for that price. What's up, Poo Ninja? How's life on the moon?
Poo. So yeah, so that's the first of the. This is the first of the new acquisition. This is very cool. Actually, it's not new. Basically, Dennis had it for a while. It was mine. Dennis had it for a while, and I just got it back. So that's basically, it's new again to me. But it was
recycling.
Mine.
You're lowering your carbon footprint.
That's right. You know, it ends up being like a new pedal again.
It is, and that's the great thing about that circuit is, you know, you're like, oh, this is great, and then you know, you love it, but then you get so kind of used to it, and so you start exploring other little things that can take its place, and then 6-8 months goes by, and then I should check out a Klon. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah,
I love it.
It is.
That's why I always keep some form of one around the studio. Mm-hmm. Hey, Bozique.
Hi, Bozique. How are you?
Yes, and I myself picked up a little slice of the 90s. The DoD Hard Rock Distortion, which has possibly the shortest delay ever put into a circuit, Dave.
No kidding.
Like, yeah, that's the extra. So you got your level. They call it a presence, which it's not. It's not. Because 11 o'clock or lower, it's Black Sabbath, sludgy, heavy bass. And as soon as you crack it past noon, you sound like Chuck Berry. And you're like, what? What happened? It just shelves all that off.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And a lot of distortion. And then, yeah, the delay, though, I think it only goes up to like 4 milliseconds. It's not like, at most, it's a doubler at most.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, but it gets you there. If you find the sweet spot, you can get a bit of a Rockman sound if you want that for something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's worth hanging on the shelf in case I want to sound like a crappy little stereo, because that's kind of what the Rockman sound is. But we love it.
Well, I mean, I love the sound of Boston, the band, that is.
Exactly.
And you know, there's a lot of music that we know of from that era was played on those on those little toys
Right.
or
And they
amplifiers.
sound great. They sound great in a mix. On their own, it sounds like you're playing through your Ghetto Blaster type
That's
thing.
right. If you listen to the whole record of Def Leppard Hysteria,
Yep.
it was all done on a Rockman. The whole record was done on a Rockman. And you can't tell me that record isn't good.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Because I was just young enough. I missed out on Pyromania. Like, if I had an older sibling, I would have known about it more. But when Hysteria hit, because the production value was just that next level, which was kind of predated, the big Bob Rock sound in many ways.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that we loved by the late 80s, that I was like, holy crap, listen to this.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you on that. So yeah, couple of pedals. That's good stuff. I'm gonna hold off on the second one just for a little while because if we blow the load right now, we may as well say goodnight.
Well, exactly. Which that's happened to me in the past.
Paulie Walnuts, yes, High and Dry is probably my favorite Def Leppard record. Absolutely.
It is a great album.
The songwriting, the sound of the record. I mean, let's face it. That's Mutt Lange's first record with them. It's very AC/DC, very AC/DC. It sounds amazing. So yeah, that early Def Leppard stuff you can't beat it. You can't beat it at all.
What's up, I Rocks and Blues?
I rock.
Good to see you, my friend.
Fruitcake, I didn't say hello to you, buddy. How you doing?
Do we know the song High and Dry by the Rolling Stones?
No, I don't.
Wait. No, I can't. Nope. I thought I recognized the title, but beyond that, no. Octopus Ears rediscovered his 7-string last night. So much fun.
Oh, very cool. Where did you discover it? In your living room or in a guitar store?
Good question. Yeah, I can tell you, Dave, literally me getting a DoD pedal is me browsing the Kijiji on my phone while Pete Thorne was live, because nobody was really trolling it up or anything. And he was off on a tangent. I think it was something involving IRs and that kind of thing. And I just tune out because I don't care. Right. So it's like one eye on the chat. And I'm like, ooh, a DoD pedal at an affordable rate. So I was like, hey, do you want to trade? And he's like, what do you got? And I was like, what do you need? He's like, that's rather vague. I was like, believe me, buddy, I got like 50 surplus pedals sitting around here. What are you looking for? We couldn't work out a trade. So I was like, yeah, I'll give you the cash. So picked it up on Monday and was bored with it by Wednesday. And it sits on the shelf.
Now it sits there with the rest of the pedals.
Yeah, so but it's now my third DoD pedal I have in the collection. See, now I got 3, Dave. That's starting to be a collection.
It's definitely a collection.
Yeah. Which why not? Because useless pedals for $500, Alex.
My mom is here. Let's say hello to my mom.
Hi, Mom.
Also want to say thank you very much to Donnie Ward and Chris Locke for our show last week. That was That was pretty incredible. What a great, was that last week?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
And
usually what I say. Was that last week?
yeah, that was
Dave, I was thinking about that. Like, it actually got me thinking. We'll do a night where I'm just going to pick your brain and ask you questions that I should be embarrassed I don't know the answers to, but I'll just pick your brain one night. But it was just like, because certain things, like I was like, how do you mount a Dane Electro neck with a shallow heel to a guitar? You know, and it's like, oh well, you just have a full wedge piece. And I was like, all right, I did not know, because I would just be like, well, that doesn't work. So, because coming from a car guy background, I'm like, well, I'm trying to put a Ford engine in a Chevy car. I can't do that. And Dave's like, I can. I know how to do that.
well, I mean, it just makes sense to build up the neck pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're cutting a body, just make the neck pocket just for that neck.
Mm-hmm.
Or put in a slab like that. But you got to glue it in or something like that. It's got to be done correctly,
Right.
or else it really won't work. It won't resonate really right.
Right. Well, that's what I was wondering. What's up, Unbelievable? Glad to have you here, my friend.
Uneffing believable.
I hope you're doing somewhat better, too. I've been thinking about you, too.
Oh, I didn't know he was sick.
Not sick. Not things outside of the YouTube sphere that just suck balls in life. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. I totally understand.
Yeah.
I totally understand. Not every day is a happy day. And boy, recently I found that out. But that's as far as I'll go with that.
Fair enough. Also, recapping last week, did not know the Frankenstein had minimum that we know of 11 necks on it at one time or another.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How about that?
But I was thinking that because I was thinking, and that's just because people happen to snap photos, document it. Like Eddie could have 4 necks on a guitar in one day, and you wouldn't know it. It just seems. Especially when you can get strings on the cheap, Dave. You'll put 4 different necks on a guitar and throw away the strings each time because
absolutely.
Send me another barrel full.
Yeah.
Rock stars.
I Rock Said Blues says, do I think an EVH Wolfgang Standard is good?
Yep.
It's a loaded question. I think for the money, it's a very good guitar.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say that I wouldn't make some changes if I bought one. If I was to buy one of those guitars, I would probably right away change the electronics because the Chinese electronics in that sucks. I'd probably put like CTS pots or Bourne's pots in them with better wiring, switchcraft input jack, or I'd say an output jack, I guess it's called. The pickups are fine. They sound great. I would probably change the Floyd Special to a regular Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, that's probably what I would do personally. But if you want the guitar as a guitar, just as is, it's not a bad guitar at all.
And that's all optional upgrades. It's not like you have to do that to make it playable.
Yeah.
Like some get. I will say that's one thing I learned once I discovered this whole YouTube community was, it's like bar none, a Wolfgang at any price point, Dave, seems to be the number one guitar that someone will buy sight unseen online as a new guitar, so barring any, injuries to the guitar. But because they all seem to come out of the box, decent setup, they work, nothing's falling apart on them. Like the build quality's decent at any of the levels to the point where they seem to be you don't hear that about any other guitars other than maybe Telly's because everybody I'll just take it apart and rebuild it because it's a Telecaster. So, but Wolf games seem to be the number one. People just buy them online, no problem.
I Rock Z Blues. I would put a regular German Floyd on it. That's what I would do personally. I don't screw around with Floyd Roses. I don't like any of the cheap stuff. I just don't. There are lots of people that disagree with me saying that if it's good enough for Eddie to use, it's good enough for anyone. And that's correct. You know what? He used in 2015 for the song "I'll Wait." He used a different guitar. He used, whatever guitar needed to be used, which basically, I think first it was the Circles. He used the Circles um, Stripe series, and then he used the Star guitar, and then he used something else, and then he used a Black Wolfgang Standard, which had no changes on it. But you got to understand, Eddie used it for one song. And if it went down, he has a tech right there to fix it for him right away.
And that tech probably took a good look at the guitar before it ever touched Eddie's hands.
Absolutely. You know that guitar did not have one iota of a problem before it hit Eddie's hands.
Yeah. Which I get. And I could see pretty much, I'd like to think pretty much any guitar on the market, you should be able to last one song, even under stage-like conditions, because Dave, those big stages do funky things to instruments when you walk out on stage with it. That things happen, but they should last a song. But even the cheapest equipment, they're still checking everything to make sure it's
absolutely.
And why wouldn't you? That's why I was able to gig with a J Tercer for years, because I kept up on it and made sure if the neck moved, I was on it, so I didn't have that problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, there are going to be those guys that are pro EVH, the company, and there's nothing wrong with anything. They're all the best that you can possibly get of anything. I don't think there's any company that has the best of everything. There just isn't. There's no company that has the worst of everything. There's no company that has the best. There are companies that you like better than others.
Yeah.
There are instruments that you like better than others.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the lower line guitars might play and sound and feel better than some of the higher end guitars. It don't matter. It happens. Certain pieces of wood are better than others. You may get some guitars that are dogs, but are good enough for quality control to let them pass.
Mm-hmm. Aesthetically, they're correct.
Yes. So, it's no matter what I say, there is going to be someone out there that's going to disagree with me. But my opinion is the EVH Wolfgang Standard is a good guitar. That's as far as I'll go. It's a good guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would I say that a pro guy that wants to gig 5 nights or 6 nights a week with that guitar, is it good enough for that? I don't think so. Not unless you make some changes on it.
Or it's going to fall apart in a year and a half.
Is it a good beginner to intermediate guitar? It's a great beginner to intermediate guitar. Can a pro use it? Yes, a pro can definitely use it. But is it a lasting guitar for a pro? Probably not. It's probably not.
Mm-hmm. Yep, pretty much. And I'll say, this point of the industry is pretty much at any price point, 5, 6, 7, because there's a guitar at every $100 point, and they're all pretty much you get what you pay for. Guitar companies keep each other pretty honest that way. You don't see something priced at $2,000 that's really worth $1,000 ever. Whereas you're more likely to see something worth $3,000 priced at $2,000 because of someone trying to get their name out there or what have you. If anything, they're more undervalued. Hello, Hardwood Steaks.
Bozique asks if this shirt is a 1975 tour replica shirt. Yes, it is. And I'm proud to say that this, along with a few other shirts that I own, were beautiful gifts from my friend Ty Price. My last birthday, he spoiled me. He bought, he's a good guy. Ty Price is a very good guy. He's generous. He bought me 4 shirts, and he got Joel Hoekstra to wish me a happy birthday on a video. And that costs a lot of money. But I love this shirt. I I talk to Ty probably every other day. Will he be a guest on our show? Not sure about that, but he is doing really well. He's been gigging. His chops have gotten better than I've ever heard, and he's a family man, you know. So that's what he's doing. Wish him the best. Thank you for the shirt, Ty, and I love this shirt. So you see me wearing it a lot. I'll either wear this one or my Led Zeppelin shirt a lot. He also bought me a Guns N' Roses shirt and an AC/DC shirt. I love both those shirts, but I got a little Clorox on my AC/DC shirt, which bummed me out. So I don't really wear it. Yeah.
I'm going with free t-shirt night as well, too. Shout out our friend Rob Welch over at Tessie Switch, who will be appearing on my channel on the 27th. Because I was talking to him the other day, and I said, oh, by the way, which happens every time we start texting Dave, one thing, and then I'm like, why don't you just come on? And he's like, all right, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, which will be fun.
Uneffing Believable has a great question. He says, Dave, I have 2 Les Paul Menaces. One has a broken headstock repair, but plays better. Why? It could be anything. The neck angle could be a little more correct, which allows the strings to be a little more slinky. It could be the way you have the bridge set on it. It could be any number of little things. When the neck was repaired, maybe it was put together
more sturdily, so it has a bit more sustained tone.
In a way where it's more stable. Absolutely.
Insert. That's it.
It could be anything. You know, it could be anything. But that is what happens. You can get 2 of the same guitar, and one may play amazingly, and one may play good, or one may not play good at all. You know, you can have them set up exactly the same way, and one is going to be slinky and one's going to be tough. It just depends on the instrument. There's nothing you can do about it. But that's a great question, and that's really the answer. Mike, as himself says, it's just all wood and metal. I have a $3,000 Sir Modern truss rod fail, which they fixed, and a Jackson custom shop that needed a fret level after I bought it. It happens. These things happen.
Oh, nice. Phil did the repair. I assume that'd be Phil McKnight.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I love Philip.
Yep.
Love that guy.
Alumni of the channel.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get him on again.
Yeah.
Or you never know. Maybe we'll show up on his channel one day.
That'd be cool. I keep threatening him. He won't let me. He knows better. It's like, no, the public of that size, no. It's like, all right. But he's always been a friend. He's never been lacking with the shout outs and support for me. So I love the guy. So
yeah. My little Chihuahua, she sounds like a lion when she's eating. She's it's so loud, so funny.
I get it.
Bozique says, I have too many guitars and I'm not a pro, so I definitely have a problem. We all have that same problem.
I'm sorry, I don't comprehend that statement. What? No. You probably have just the right amount of guitars and a backup or 2.
Yeah, you know, I think.
And you have a passion, not a problem.
We all just.
Where you say problem, I say passion.
We all just need one more.
Yeah.
So I just found out that there is a shortage of tubes going on. Nobody has tubes.
Yeah. Yep. Although I will say, friend Pete Thorne went live last night to talk about tubes. It was random, and I did not realize there was as many tube manufacturers out there. Like, I thought we were down to 2, maybe 3, and there's actually 7 globally, including 1 in the US.
Wow.
But they only make 300 Bs for tubes, and they're $1,500 a pair.
Huh.
So, if you wanted a 12AX7, you're looking at probably $600-700. If that's where you want to go. But I bet you that the build quality of it would be like, it'd be on par of like the infamous, any new old stock that you can dream of and wake up all hot and bothered over. It'll be at that build quality because they build tubes strictly for, you think us guitar players are snobs. Talk to the hi-fi crowd. Oh,
Yeah.
They look at our dirty tubes and like, oh, that's so noisy, so nasty.
It's
Like,
crazy.
yeah, but you're putting me into a Marshall and I'm cranking the bejesus out of it anyways to your bleeding volume, so it's all good. Although I need to find a tube tester, Dave. A little hint for tomorrow's video on my channel. I happen to find a Sylvania EL34 on my workbench.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, ooh, that's an American-made tube. If this thing works, it's worth a few bucks.
I think Tungsol still makes tubes.
They do, but they're made in Russia.
Okay.
It's kind of an issue right now. Although, apparently, the way this has happened unfolded over the last week without getting any global stuff that we're all aware of, apparently Mike Matthews said, I can't be shipping any more tubes because I have them made in Russia. And that's not an option right now.
Yeah.
But now, it sounds like, yes, I can get them, but because of tariffs and stuff and sanctions and such, you're going to be paying more for them, is what he's saying. I can get them, but you're going to have to pay for them.
Mm-hmm. Joe Harvey 84 has a great question. He says, how do you guys get over gear that you wanted to buy and then it sells before you can buy it? I get very upset over it. You want to go first on that?
I find certain lifestyle choices help you forget about it. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. A little time with a glass saxophone. All is good in the world. No. Fortunately, I don't know, Dave. When it comes to gear, fortunately, there's so much out there that interests me. It doesn't take me long to get over that one to find a new infatuation, I think.
Right.
So just keep browsing, looking, saving. Just
right.
keep putting aside the shekels one at a time so you have a bit more of a budget, too.
That makes great sense. Now, with me, I have a couple of different things. I never really get upset because I usually get exactly what I want when I want it. Now, it's not because I've got a wallet full of money, because I don't. I know it looks like I've got a lot of guitars here, but this is over 40 years of collecting and horse trading. So it's not like I pull out a wad of $8,000 for every guitar I buy every other week. I don't do that. But what I do is when I know there is something that I want, before I even go looking to see where they are, I look to see what I have here to trade, and I make sure that I have enough or close enough for it either an even trade or I don't have to give a lot of cash out. Then when I figure out what I want to give up, that's when I look into see what stores have it. And then when I find out what store has the thing, I usually don't even go there. I buy it sight unseen. Now here's the thing with me. I do my own setups. If there's anything that I don't like say a guitar is set up horribly and it plays terribly, I'm not worried about that because I know I can make it play the way I want it to play.
Although you will bring it up with the salesperson when negotiating price. Dave, this guitar needs a setup. You might want to knock a couple of bucks off it.
Yeah, but I don't even do that really because wherever I go, I'm friends with whatever salesperson.
Yeah, that's true.
I have made friends with at least one or two salespeople in every store that I shop in, whether it be walk-in shopping or online shopping. I go to Wildwood. I know to speak to either Bruce or my friend Justin. I speak to, I go to the Music Zoo. I speak to Jessica. I go to my Guitar Center. I speak to my buddy Matt. I go to Music Emporium. I speak to my buddy Charlie or my buddy Mike. I know who to. Here's the thing. When you go out to a bar, the 3 B's The 3 B's you got to remember. You got to be friendly with the 3 B's: the bartender, the bouncer, and the band. If you're friendly with those guys, you get whatever you want.
That's
So
true.
you become friends with a salesperson, and your $6,000 guitar now becomes a $5,000 guitar, and they will take your trade-ins that they may not normally take from a guy that walks in on the street. And you become friendly with them. You don't you don't aggravate them. You don't take advantage of them. But when you need something, they come through for you. So at this point, I know what I want. I have the people there that I can get it from. I buy it sight unseen. I get it home. I do the setup. If the guitar still is a piece of crap, I return it. If it's amazing, like it usually is when I show these off, this is the most amazing guitar, and then I drop it, I keep it. That's just as easy as it is. The only hard part of my guitar buying career is explaining them to my wife. And that is not even that hard. She gets angry and she gets aggravated, but she knows that it's never going to end. So yeah. I don't get in trouble anymore. She gets kind of annoyed sometimes. But who doesn't? What wife doesn't get at least annoyed?
They get annoyed because they care.
Desiree knows it's going to happen. As long as I tell her the truth and don't lie about the damn thing, it's going to be okay. And of course, as long as I have the money to pay for it.
Exactly. I'm pretty much all the same, except I always build up a good rapport pretty much anywhere I go because I'm me. But I'm cheap, so I'm always trying to negotiate anything I can. And if a guitar needs a setup, I try to incorporate that into especially on used gear. New gear, I tell them shame, because your job is to sell guitars, and if the guitar is unplayable, don't be surprised if it doesn't sell.
Well, the problem is here's the crux. Great word. Here's the crux.
That's a good word. Good word. Word of the day, folks.
Guitar Center until recently, they worked on commission.
Yes.
Now, it is very hard for a guitar salesman to be on the floor, set up every guitar, and try to sell guitars and make their nut, because if they don't make their base salary in sales, like if they don't sell enough, because what happens is stores like Guitar Center would give you a base pay, but if you didn't at least make that much in commission to pay it back, because you don't keep your base pay. If that happened 3 times, you got fired. Fired. If money comes out of Guitar Center's pocket to pay you, that's what your commission is for. Yeah. You get paid on whatever profit comes out of an instrument. So it doesn't actually come out of Guitar Center's pocket, it comes out of the profit of the instrument. And if you don't sell enough, that means they have to take out of their pockets to pay you. And if that happens too many times, you get fired.
I want to say hello to my little sister who says, "Dear universe, please let my boyfriend start bringing guitars home." Swing and a miss, sis. You prayed for the boyfriend, but instead it's your brother that brings him home all the time. Although he does sometimes hand you his cast. I forgot to give her guitar stands yesterday. She was over here yesterday, Dave, and I was supposed to give her a couple guitar stands, and I totally forgot. Dang it. I remember today when I tripped over one in the workshop. I'm like, curses. Next time, sis.
Joe Harvey says, I bought a guitar that they could sell for $700 and I was given $415. I don't know if that's a complaint or you think that's good. Now, a lot of people, and I'm not saying you're one of these guys, Joe, but a lot of people don't understand that when you sell a guitar back to Guitar Center or Sam Ash or whatever music store, they need to make a profit. They cannot buy a guitar from you for more money than they can get a new one from whatever company. So Say they buy an American Standard Strat from Fender and it costs the store $515 and they sell it for $899. I know these are not the right prices, but I'm just giving you for instance. Yeah. Say they buy the guitar for $515.
What's up, Cushman?
And the guitar, the sale price on the street is $899. If you brought that same guitar and used to them to buy, they can only give you 65% of that $515 because it's not worth it for them to buy a used guitar for more money than they can get a new one from the factory from. You understand? Now, smaller stores that say they're not a Fender dealer, they can buy a guitar for more money because they're not a dealer anyway.
Right.
And they're just happy to get that guitar in there. So other places may offer you more money for that guitar. But a big box store that carries those guitars brand new, you're not going to get a lot of money for them.
No. Exactly. What's up, Eddie Van Haskell? Says that guitar needs a Motorhead sticker. The one Dave's holding, it could rock one in theory.
Well, I don't know about that. But shall we get...
I owned it. If you owned it, no, Dave. But if I owned it, oh, yeah. Because
would it go in the front or the back of the guitar?
Oh, front.
Remind me never.
Actually, no. That one would probably, I'd be going through my stack of pinup girl sticker decals.
Okay, so I can understand that because the whole that whole scene, it's kind of considered to be like a punk style guitar.
Exactly. Well, that's all I would play on that thing.
Although it really isn't. It's a 2 pickup guitar. Punk guitar would be a junior. But I understand wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
So let's get into this guitar.
Let's.
So this guitar is a Gibson Custom Shop Murphy Labs Les Paul Special. 2 P90s.
Mm-hmm.
It is lightly aged. It's not aged. Basically, they call it lightly aged, and all there is on it is the weather checking. Now, they weather check the whole guitar. They weather check the front, back, sides of the body, everywhere. They weather check the back of the neck. I don't know if you can. Let me get a close-up of this.
You just wonder, were they in a warm room? Somebody accidentally opened the door and went, okay, and these are the lightly checked ones.
I don't know if that's coming out at all on there, but there's weather checking on the whole.
Excuse me.
I
like the fact that there's just enough transparency that you can just kind of see everything.
Yeah. I call it braille because you could feel where you're playing. Let's see if I can get any of this weather checking. It's very tough. I don't really have good lighting, but maybe you could see it there. There's some weather checking.
You get there, yeah. I can see some.
I love it. I love P90s. I love wraparound tail pieces. This is the Motor City wraparound tail bridge.
Which is the good one.
Oh, yeah. It's a great guitar. I've wanted one of these. I have a junior. I've wanted one of these for a while. I traded a couple of Joe Satriani Ibanez's for it. Well worth it to me. I know there's a lot of you guys that are like, are you crazy? But those Joe Satriani guitars were just sitting on stands, and this is something I play every day. So that's the guitar. The guitar is about a medium weight. It's about 7.5 pounds. Rosewood fretboard. It's just another guitar that just rings like crazy.
You can hear, yeah. That sounds
it's really great. The binding, it's got binding on it. I don't know what else to say about it. The only modification that I had to do, which you have to do with these guitars, is I had to raise the bridge pickup. I put a piece of foam under it because inherently in these guitars, the neck pickup is usually louder. I don't know why. And the bridge pickup is usually not right under the strings. Now with P90s, you kind of have to get the bridge pickup right under the strings for it to have some volume. And that's what I had to do. I just put a little bit of foam underneath it, raise the pickup, and now they're even. Both neck and bridge are even, and they're both great.
Nice.
That's the guitar.
I dig it.
Murphy Labs guitar. Bozique says Murphy Labs, they ain't cheap. Congrats, David Nesdall. Even Bonham also says the series represents the most convincing replicas of classic Gibsons. Now, all right, they're not cheap, but this guitar.
No, they're two Satrianis.
But
clearly, we've established the price.
This guitar was not $7,000 either.
No,
this guitar was $4,500. Now, as far as what a regular VOS version of this guitar, a regular VOS version is $3,700. So, considering it's only $800 more for Murphy Labs version of it,
right?
That's not bad at all.
Nope.
And most Murphy Labs guitars, unless it's heavily aged, is going to be in the $6,000 range. You can get a Les Paul for like $6,500, like a 58 or 59 Les Paul.
Sure.
Murphy Labs, lightly aged, for about $6,500.
Nice.
But the heavily aged versions of it, because there's a lot of relicking, and it's not just regular relicking. They really make it a convincing. They make it convincing to look like a real old.
Oh yeah. My buddy RJ just got a Murphy Labs. I want to say 58 gold top. I think he got, and yeah, did like tasteful job. Like, and I'm not a fan of gold tops, but it was done right. Like it looked the part, and I think he did the same thing, just that lightly aged,
Yeah, basically it's a VOS, maybe a little bit less shiny than VOS, maybe, and it's got weather checking. There's no dings. There's a couple of little dings, but there's no missing paint whatsoever. And I'm kind of a fan of that, where there's no missing paint these days.
Right.
I like to have a painted guitar. I don't need it. I don't like it to be shiny, brand new. Most of the time. But I do like paint on a guitar. It's classy to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and somebody asked earlier what I'm drinking tonight. Coca-Cola, just the industry standard in our lovely Flipside cozy, because our friends at Ike and Dylan over at Flipside Music. I never remember the other people that work there. MJ works there. MJ might be on tour currently, so he might not be working there.
Mm-hmm. See, now if I was to have something to drink like that, it would be a DC, a Diet Coke.
Sure,
I call them DC for short. RXZ Blue says, I've got my eye on a Gibson Traditional Pro V. Never played? Heard of them? Thoughts? Never played one. I may have seen one once.
I don't know if I played the Traditional Pro or not.
I'm sure they're good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's my bag, because I'm more of a classic guitar kind of guy. Like if it was made in the 50s and 60s, that's my bag. I'll play a reissue of that or a real one.
Yeah, I'd imagine similar, but probably I think the Traditional Pros usually have a little bit hotter pickups.
Yeah. Now, please forgive me for sounding like my nose is way up in the air. And all right, I'll admit it. My nose is in the air. I just enjoy that stuff. It's not that I think it's any better than anything else. You can like what you like. Okay. I'm not going to say, well, that sucks. You shouldn't like it. It sucks. I'm not going to say that. All I'm going to say is I have a very particular little set of things that I like. Mm-hmm. And it happens to be, other than the Floyd Rose stuff, which I grew up in the '80s, so my heart is always going to be with one pickup with a Floyd Rose and maybe even stripes on it. It's always going to be that because that's how I grew up. But if I'm doing gigs and I'm a big lover of vintage instruments, I'm going to play one of these live before I play one of those. I'm just not going to do that, because I find myself when I play one of those live, I rely on that tremolo arm way too much. I do too much stupid stuff that is not in the song with that guitar, whereas I'm going to play the song with this guitar. And that's what people want to hear. No one cares in a bar if you can play Eruption. No one cares.
No, they would care if you can play Freebird, but not Eruption.
They care if you could play Brown Eyed Girl, which I probably will never ever play again in my life. But they would rather hear Brown Eyed Girl, and they'll pay you $100 in a tip jar to play Brown Eyed Girl.
And then you end up playing Brown Eyed Girl.
But all you're going to get in a bar if you're playing Eruption is, man, that guitar player is way too loud. That's all you're going to get.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to prove to anyone. I like what I like. When I'm here in the house, I play what I like.
Sure.
But if I'm gigging, it's going to be a classic style guitar through a tube amplifier, and I'm going to play the songs.
Yeah, and also it all depends on what you're hired to play, right? Like if you're supposed to play something from the 80s that's heavily wheel stick inspired, Dave will bring a Super Strat, but
oh yeah, a Super Strat.
The vast majority of the gigs, they want to hear traditional music, and then you bring a traditional instrument.
Yeah, or 5.
The way it goes. Unless you want to play for gas money, although that's a good paying gig these days. Ooh.
You know what? Yes, gas money is good paying these days. Unless you're, in a club date band, which they make great money, or if you're in a tribute band. Tribute bands make ridiculous money these days.
Yeah.
They make ridiculous money.
Yeah.
Like up to $10,000. It's crazy.
It's crazy, but high expectations too, because you got to play that stuff note for note.
Yeah, you got to be good. You got to be good at it.
Or close enough for note, right? Unbelievable ask, what other songs do you never want to play again live? Mustang Sally.
I don't even mind playing that because it's R&B. I love R&B.
True, but I never play with other players that can really play. No offense to anybody I've ever gigged with, but you're not the R&B players. Sorry. Not that I am either, per se, but I'd like to. But I've always wanted to play with a horn section, Dave, just once. I'd like to play with a horn section.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know what? At this point, unbelievable. I don't think there is a song that I never want to play again because I do want to get back out in clubs and bars and play again. I haven't done it in years, and I haven't done it because I have become disabled, and then the pandemic hit, so I have not played in years.
I have one. White Rabbit. I hated the song my entire life, and then I had to perform the song. So I never liked it ever, Dave. So that one, if I never ever have to play that again, I'd be very, very happy.
Yeah. Joe Hervey wants to know if I'm selling my wet, dry, wet system setup that I offered over a year ago. It's sold. I sold it to Rob Johnson.
Nice. Okay, Blind Melons, No Rain. I can see that.
Yeah, but I would never have played that song to begin with. When I play gigs, or when I played gigs, it was 50s, 60s, 70s, and in some 80s music. I didn't go past the 80s.
Where I was, it was, we dipped back as far as the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, I don't think I've ever performed anything post 2000. I don't think.
Yeah,
No, I have. 3 Days Grace song. I covered a 3 Days Grace song for.
if I did anything from the 90s, it was from the Black Crowes.
Yeah.
You know,
Which throw back into itself.
I'll do Black Crowes.
Sure.
I'll do Blackberry Smoke.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I covered them. Yeah, I was just thinking that some of the songs. It's funny though, the amount of cover songs I played with when I played with One Day to Live, because we had a full original set, well, 2 full original sets at least, and 2 sets of covers, so we could do all night if needed. And they'd bring a song to the table, Dave, and I'd learn it with the band, and then I'd be driving down the road and then hear it on the radio, and I was like, oh, that's a different version of the song. And then I realized, oh, that's the original one. I'd never heard it before. And, it's got a good groove. I don't care who played it originally.
Right. Bozique says, I seem to have purged all of the Van Halen related stuff. You are right. I have one striped guitar. I've got in the corner there, up there, if you can see it, I have my EVH Ernie Ball. But that's it. Everything else is gone. All the amps are gone. All the guitars are gone. The way I see it is, I got rid of very cool guitars that I made with my partner, that if I wish to have again, I can always make again. I got rid of all of them to get guitars that I want to have.
Mm-hmm.
I kept the one because I love that one.
Sure.
The Music Man, I was offered $4,500 for it and said no, thank you. Then I gave that guitar to my wife. So if she ever decides to play guitar, she does from time to time. That's the guitar she uses. I decided to give her that guitar because she's very short. She's tiny. She's a tiny girl. That guitar fits her. It doesn't fit me.
They are small guitars.
I'm a big dude. She loves it. And why not give it to her? She's given me everything. She's given me happiness. She's given me everything I've ever wanted. She could have the Ernie Ball.
Sure.
What's
up, Absolute Mayhem? Good to see you, my friend.
Joe Evers says, do not get me started on EVH. Look, I may have gotten rid of all my EVH stuff. That doesn't mean I'm out of Van Halen. I love Eddie Van Halen. I will always love Van Halen. I will always love Van Halen. If there's a Van Halen conversation, I'll be happy to get into it. Yep. I'll be happy to talk about it. I
love our monthly or so Van Halen talks, Dave, because I always learn so much. And that's how I discovered you, because literally I had seen a couple of live streams like this on YouTube. And I thought to myself, like, I'm an Eddie head. I was down that rabbit hole watching a bunch of interviews with Eddie one night. And I just typed in, because I thought, he's the only guy that we can talk about as just a pure fan of the band. And then you got the fact that he tinkered with guitars. Then you got the fact he owned a company. So him more than anyone else, I thought, for, let's say, level of topics and content, very content rich. So I typed in Eddie Van Halen live stream. And then I met you, Dave, a few minutes later. And then I sent in a photo of my 67 Telly, and you went, whoa, stop the show. And then we became friends.
I remember that. I remember it like it, maybe not like it was yesterday, but I remember it. I remember
simply for that reason, because he's a great conversation.
I remember Ben being just like the easiest going, nice guy. And then, of course, I saw that old Telecaster, and I was like, well, okay, I got to be friends with this guy.
Yeah, because I remember you went, whoa, that relicking is real. That's not a factory relic job. I'm like, nope, she's loved.
Yeah. And I enjoy. Hey, Vince, how are you? We were talking about you earlier. Are your ears ringing? I love building the Van Halen guitars for people. Anyone wants a build done, we love making them. They're a lot of fun to do. They are hard work. but they are a lot of fun. And when I sit there at the end after it's built, just before I pack it up to send it away, and I look at it, I'm like, man, I don't want to send this one out. And then I put it in its case and send it to someone. That is that's well, it's the second best feeling. The best feeling is looking at my PayPal account and saying, I got $3,000 for that. You know, it's a really good feeling building these guitars because they're a lot of fun, and it reminds me of all those years that band was around that I was like, oh my God, goo over it. So it's a lot of fun. Plus, when I get the phone call from the customer saying, oh my God, I can't believe this guitar, that is the single most best feeling of it.
Sure.
So, you know, it happens every time. Knock wood, but it happens every time. Because I won't, like, if we build a guitar and I put it together, and what I tell the customer is, listen, I'm going to put the guitar together and I'm going to hold it for 2 days. I play it for 2 days. I want to make sure that it wants to be a guitar, because when you first build a guitar, it is just wood and metal. It doesn't know that it wants to be a guitar. It doesn't want to know it doesn't know that it wants to have all those pounds of pressure of the strings bending the neck in a neck pocket with 4 screws on it. It doesn't know that yet. So you need to hold on to it, because guarantee if you send a guitar out the day you finish building it and you send it to that customer and it goes in an airplane across the country and that guy opens that case and the action is 3 miles off the fretboard and your fret sprouts and all that shit, you are not going to have a happy customer, and you are not going to get a repeat customer, and that guy is going to become a terrorist and tell all his friends not to buy from you.
I get it. When I had my signature guitar built, it was a bit of a rush job, and it had to be flown cross country from the West Coast, and it flew out within a week of being built, and we had 2 frets lift during the flight. Beyond that, it wasn't bad, like slight tweaking, because he essentially put a factory Fender setup on it, and that's way too high an action for me.
Right.
So. But beyond that, stuff like we discussed earlier. But yeah, 2 frets popped.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
A minor setup is one thing. All necks are going to move in shipping. They're going to move a little bit, especially if a guitar is brand spanking new. And Van Halen, excuse me, I'm still not 100%. Van Halen guitars have unfinished necks.
Exactly.
And when you have an unfinished neck, it's going to move.
And that's what this is, an unfinished neck. So I got off lucky, and Travis told me before he shipped it, he goes, look, I don't feel comfortable. Yeah, I'd like to wait at least another week. And I was like, don't. And we already knew going in, this could happen. Richie's done fret jobs before. So he's like, yeah, I'll take care of it. If there's a couple of high frets, no big deal.
Wait, you said you got a flucky? What the fuck is a flucky? Oh, you got off lucky.
That's what I got.
I got a flucky, and Rich said blah, 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 blah. What the fuck is a flucky? Is that some new Canadian word?
Yeah. I slipped into my native language.
It's very funny. But anyway,
that's like playing White Rabbit. So there you go. Vince, you can play for me. Thank you.
Awesome. And I'm glad to see you here, Vince, man. So what were we talking about before I got off on my tangent of Van Halen replica builds?
I don't know. That.
Oh, that I still enjoy doing that, but these style of guitars are what I play. So,
sure.
But the reason why I got rid of all my Van Halen stuff is not because I hate Van Halen, not because I hate those guitars.
You just weren't playing them.
But only because I'd rather have these, and I can always build another one of those if I want. So,
or any of those other ones if you want, because I'm just going to say, for the amount of your X guitars that are now in Rob Superfan Johnson's collection, and I know he has a standard, And if he's like, Dave's are better, that tells me Dave's are good.
Yeah,
If
well,
not,
I would go one further and say Dave and Nick Amendola, because he's my partner, and
sure.
quite honestly, he does all the painting and relicking. I just put him together. He's the guy. He's the artist with the great hands and the great eye coordination. Nick is the guy that if you say, I want you to paint me that Rembrandt over there, he'll make you an exact replica of that Rembrandt painting. He's done it. So Van Halen guitars to him are not hard.
So yeah, it's literally you're painting a piece of art because you follow the lines. I get it.
Rob 212 wants to see my. This is not actually an Explorer. It's an Ibanez Destroyer replica that our buddy Donnie Ward, who was on our show last week, he has a 76 Explorer, not Explorer, a 76 Ibanez Destroyer, and he builds replicas of it, and that's one of it. That's one of them. It is probably the best Explorer-shaped guitars I've ever played in my life.
I want one of those.
It's amazing. It's not cheap. It's expensive.
But worth it.
Is it Gibson Carina 58 expensive? No. But it's expensive for an Ibanez.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, if you want a real Ibanez, it's between 10 and 15 grand.
Yeah, they got stupid.
This guitar is about $3,500.
And well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's as far as I'm concerned, it's built on par because it's built more in the vein of a tribute to the Ibanez, but I would say it's on par build quality with a Gibson custom shop, a US built, which I'd say is a US built custom set neck guitar.
Yeah. Vince, it is an amazing guitar. I trust him with building those style guitars 100%. He's amazing at it. That guitar is incredible. Who asked if I have...
What's up, Eduardo?
Someone just asked. Pooh Ninja asked if I have a Pia. No, I don't. I have no interest in getting any more Steve Vai style guitars. I've got 3 of them. That's enough for me. I'm not getting rid of what I have, but I have no interest in getting another one. Let's see. Bozique said, I mentioned before that there was an article that Joe Bonamassa was building a tube factory in Nashville due to the shortage, but Joe said it was fake news. You guys have any thoughts? I think someone should build a tube factory and start making tubes.
It would be nice. The biggest hurdle is EPA regulations because it's a very, it's a very dirty process to make a tube. It's not that you're using chemicals and there's off effects and yeah, it's not to get away with it. You would really, I don't know exactly how those laws work, obviously in the United States, because I'm not there. But like some companies, let's say Dave, like I'm going to make this product, but it's really bad for the environment. But it's like, if you offset it, like, hey, if you plant 10,000 trees, you can build that thing because you've offset the badness to the environment. Right. So, but I don't know what exactly, but like say there is a tube factory in the United States that makes one single tube right now. Now, again, it could be like companies that shoot nitro paint. That's very bad for the environment, but they're only allowed to shoot so much nitro before you've hit a certain level. That's why it takes forever to get a Rickenbacker, because Rickenbacker can only make X amount of Rickenbackers a year in California and shoot nitro and all that, because California has such strict laws. And they're like, well, if we can make 1,200 guitars a year, we'll call it, whatever the number is, that's what we'll make. And that's why there's a waiting list for them.
Hold your thought on Rickenbacker for 1 second. I want to give a shout out to Somatic Dust.
Yes.
Welcome to our live stream. He says, hey guys, love your live stream. How long till Gibson is made in China, if at all? I don't think it'll ever be made there.
I'm going to say the opposite, Dave. They already are. They're called Epiphones.
Yeah, but I think he means real Gibson.
Yeah, you won't see a Gibson branded guitar made in China. That they've already decided Gibson's going to be their American name. They've really tied their boat to that for the last 20 years to the point where they can't build a Mexican plant and have a Gibson Mexico plant because that blows that whole thing out of the water. Fender for a long time said, no, it's going to be, but then Fender already did it with as soon as they started building Japanese Fenders, they went, look, you can get a Fender that's not made in America. And that opened up a whole thing so they could build something and put a Fender badge on it, no matter where it's built in the world.
Yeah.
And, some people say that's good. Some people say that's bad. Personally, I kind of like Gibson's way, especially if Fender had done that too, Dave, because it used to be, if you didn't know exactly what Dave's holding there, if I could look and read a Fender or a Squier on the headstock, because those two guitars look the same to Joe Blow, that at least tells them one's worth a lot more than the other one. Just by looking at them. Average Joe Blow.
Yeah. Paulie Walnut, take it, Randy. Paulie Walnuts, you are correct. As far as I know, it's a rumor, but I think it's going to happen. He says, I heard Gibson was supposed to collaborate with EVH on a project. Yes, I believe they are making a 5150 guitar replica.
Yeah, which would be basically Gibson's collaboration is, yes, you can use the Kramer logo.
And the
That's
headstock.
my guess. And headstock.
And headstock.
Yeah.
But
I don't think they'd be involved in the building at all. It's more just a licensing.
They have some work to do because even Gibson's Kramer headstock is not correct.
Yeah.
So not even close.
I have a theory about that, Dave. I'm just going to put the foil hat on for a sec. I think they're holding out till they decide to do a USA built Kramer again, and then you'll get the correct headstocks.
Yeah, but you won't because Eddie's headstock was never offered.
That's true.
It was never ever offered by Kramer. It was made for Eddie only. And if you not even George Lynch had a few non-tilt headstocks, but they were not even the same. They weren't made the same. They were made by ESP by the time for Kramer. The headstocks that Eddie had on his guitar, on his 5150, 1984, and all the early Kramers were made by Paul Unkert.
Right. It was never part of the supply chain, those necks.
They were custom made at the factory. They were never production.
Which, do we ever know why they did a different headstock for Eddie?
Yes, because that's what he wanted.
Okay. I was just curious.
It's because he wanted it and didn't want anyone else to have it.
Fair enough.
That's also why you saw very, very few maple neck Kramers. He did not want the public to have anything that looked similar to his.
Yeah, because even if you got a maple neck Kramer, generally they would paint the headstock at least or something to change it up. Yeah, it's rare to see just like plain beyond a striker. What's up, Jasco? Good to see Jasco in here.
Ozik says, if that's the case, David and Ben, does that mean the EVH Fender collaboration may be coming to an end and Wolfgang is taking the brand the independent route?
I don't think you will ever see Wolfgang go independent because essentially he's Ibanez, Dave, right? Like Ibanez doesn't own a factory. Ibanez licenses their builds out.
Well, it's made by Hoshino. Yeah,
exactly. Like they're the only major guitar company that doesn't really build anything. They just completely out, which is cool because they seek out the right people. And that's what EVH has always done with Fender. It's just Fender does everything, and it's essentially a licensing situation with input.
Exactly right. They are the parent company. EVH is its own company.
Yeah. They
get their funding from Fender.
Yeah. They do design, but that's why I say it wouldn't be hard for Gibson to all of a sudden do a Kramer custom shop because you have a Gibson custom shop with a bunch of people that know how to build guitars. And if you got to hire one master builder to build Superstrats, so be it. It's a room with a bunch of workbenches is what I'm saying. And Jabe, you've seen stuff from the Fender custom shop and Jackson and Charvel and they're all right there across.
They're all under that roof.
Yeah, they're all in the same room and Gretsch is upstairs.
That's exactly right. Oh, she's
So I
outside.
just can't see him because that's a
Hey,
lot of
Jasper.
headache, Dave. You're taking trips overseas, sourcing factories. You got to source parts.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do all that? And
So, and by the way, when it's going to be it's going to be a collaboration between Gibson, Fender, and EVH.
yeah,
Because EVH can't just say, "Okay, Gibson, we're going to do this deal with your," it has to go through Fender too. Fender has to okay that.
yeah.
That's
why there's an F on the back of every Wolfgang headstock.
That's right. That's right. But I believe it's going to happen. I believe that guitar is going to happen. I believe there's a prototype, maybe 2 floating around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it.
I think it's going to happen because there's so little anything rumor-wise about it. Like usually, Dave, with that, especially with the EVH company, if there's a lack of gossip about something, that's the product that comes out. A lot of times, the big speculative thing never happens, like a Wolfgang bass.
I think that's coming too. I think it's inevitable because Wolfgang's bass player has 3 of them.
Okay. Well, that was it, because I was thinking personally, like, would Wolfgang do it as a signature model? No, because he doesn't really play bass anymore. But I could see Wolfgang
they're going to come out
adding a Wolfgang bass.
They're going to come out with a bass model if they already haven't done it. I'm sure there are prototypes of that already.
Yeah, well, anything that Wolfgang or his bass player have played over the years would essentially be prototypes, right? Like you have a body shape, you have the mechanics figured out.
Yeah, I would imagine. There's no way. I mean, Wolfgang playing a Wolfgang bass is one thing because when you're in Van Halen, you can do whatever you want.
Sure,
but the fact that
Jack Daniel shaped bass,
the fact that Wolfgang's bass player is playing them and playing them every night.
Yeah, that's cool.
It will eventually come out. Yeah. I also believe that Wolfgang's 335 looking guitar will be out this year.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
So we'll see. But yeah, I'm sure it will be.
And I like, obviously I've never met Wolfgang myself, but the guy seems to definitely have his ego in check to the point where maybe we never saw a Wolfgang bass in years prior because he's like, no, this is Dad's company. It's Dad's products. It's not my products. It's EVH, not WVH.
Right. And it's never going to change.
No.
And the thing is, even though Wolfgang is the principal owner, Matt Bruck is part owner too, I believe. So, and Matt's young and virile. He's not going anywhere.
No, and I think we're going to see the same way we see the scattered legacy of Hendrix across products over the years. If we see an EVH legacy, and that's what the Stripe series was. Like we're already seeing the legacy models coming out, and God knows you could, if you wanted to quote unquote milk that, Dave, you can release 11 different Frankenstein replicas because we know there's 11 different necks available. If they really over the next 40 years wanted to do that.
But the thing is, not only that, but the pickup configuration has been different several times. It's had a pickguard on and off a few times.
Yeah,
there's a lot of changes that happen to that guitar several times.
And if you bring out a different one every few years, so what? So be it. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
I agree with you. All right, we're at the 9:30 mark.
We are. How'd that happen? Wow.
We are at the 9:30 mark. We're going to split for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, I'm losing my voice.
I'm getting a little fatigued.
Really a lot of fun, everyone.
Was.
Great questions. Everyone who asked questions tonight.
Yeah.
Awesome questions.
All kinds of different stuff.
I enjoyed talking about everything we spoke about. I usually do, but I think it was a real fun show tonight. Ben, awesome tonight.
Always a pleasure, Dave. I love these Thursday night hangs. Like you say, different stuff I don't find anywhere else, and that's because it's us, I guess. And you find folks because they inspire the topics that we talk about for the most part. Beyond something that we're like, hey, I picked this up, I'm going to show it off. Beyond that, you guys, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll see you all Thursday night next week. I don't think I have a guest planned for a few weeks, but you never know. We almost had a guest tonight, last minute. Like this today, I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to surprise people, maybe get someone on here, but it just didn't work out. So
the reason the guest couldn't come, he had this going on.
Oh, corned beef and cabbage. Yeah, I can understand that, but it could happen at any moment where I could get.
Oh yeah. I'll post that Guitar Man 45 just because I have a few in the chat here. For my patrons and channel members, we're doing a Zoom call hangout together this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'll be posting the link on the community tab of my YouTube channel and on the Patreon website.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna make an executive decision now. Okay. In the next couple weeks, we're gonna have a roundtable. Whether it be next week or the week after, we'll have a roundtable and it'll be fun.
Sure. I like that idea.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, everyone. Ben, have a good week. Everyone, have a great week. Have a great weekend. And any cool last words from you?
This coming Sunday on my channel, we're going to see how many edibles I can eat live on air.
Okay.
You don't know what that is? Don't tune in. If you know what that is, it's going to be interesting because I've got 40 of them.
All right. Well, I'm going to kind of do the opposite. I'm going to be kind of New York right now. So forgive me, but I'm going to do the Ben Coombs New York style. Learn how to fucking merge.